Hello and welcome to another week of Sambo iRacing. It's week 9, season 2, 2024. We are in the Formula 4, the FF1600 at Oulton Park for the international layout. What can I say? It's going to be another good week of racing. Stay with me during this guide and I'll show you the lap. If you're new to the channel, what we do is we break it down slowly from the cockpit, then we go full speed with the chase cam and then back in the cockpit with the driving line on again at full speed. Right, see you in the cockpit. Okay, so as we start the lap, we're changing up to 4th gear at the line. Over on the left-hand side, brake marker is slightly earlier than for the V, so it's this Jordan Bikes on the left-hand side. Just as we get there, we're going to go up to about, 75% and on the brake. We're going to trail it off, down to the apex, drop it down into 3rd gear, just feeling with the throttle for the grip. You're going to cut the corner, don't cut it any further than I'm doing, otherwise you hit that big bank and it sends you off. And actually quite late to get back on full throttle, you back onto the track so that you make sure that you're not going completely off on the left-hand side. As long as your right-hand wheels are still on the rumble strip, you're okay. Up to 4th gear. Again, braking marker slightly earlier here, so it's just before you go down into the dip. So just before you go down into the dip, you're going to be braking up to about 65%, trailing it off, dropping it into 3rd gear, and starting to feel for the grip again, getting back on the throttle nice and early, making sure that you're really cutting and getting those wheels on the left-hand side on the rumble strip. Holding it out over to the right-hand side, up to 4th gear. Now we're looking for a little gravel road on the right-hand side. So it's just this gravel road that we're coming up to here. As we get to that, and just after that, we're going to come and do a big lift down to about 20%, staying in 4th gear, cutting the corner. You can actually go over the rumble strip here in this car, unlike in the V. Then back on the throttle. And what we're looking for here on the right-hand side is this little dirt patch over there on the right-hand side. So as I get to the dirt patch, I'm going to brake hard in a straight line up to about 90%, down to 3rd gear, trailing it still all the way down to the apex, down to 2nd gear, and now down to 1st gear, back on the full throttle, nice and early, really steering inside the corner. Understeer is going to push you back out, up to 2nd, up to 3rd. I'm going to leave it in 3rd for now. Just as we get to this elbow here, up ahead of us, what we're going to do is we're going to brake again in a straight line up to about 60%, trying to make sure that we're aiming right fit in between these tyre barriers, still trailing it off down to 2nd, and getting back on the throttle nice and early. So back to 100% on the apex. Cutting the corner on the left there, up to 3rd gear. Looking for just before the 100, or just after the 100 meter marker, sorry, in 4th gear. And then as we do that, so it's between the 100 and the 50. Sorry, it always feels like the 100 when you're doing it at full speed. Braking up to about 90% in a straight line, down to 2nd gear, and back on the throttle. Give it a big blip of throttle there. And then you're turning back in for this next corner, making sure that you cut it. I dab a little bit of brake just to get the front to bite a little bit. Getting back on the throttle. Lift to go around this corner, back on the throttle, nice and early. Up to 3rd. Revving it out, up over the hill. Holding it around to the left-hand side, up to 4th gear. And then basically it's this dip in the road that you can see up ahead. Just at the end of that dip, I'm going to dab the brakes, drop it down to 3rd gear, making sure that you cut the inside on the right-hand side, getting back on the throttle nice and early, up to 4th gear, and now we're looking for a good entry into the final turn. So it's just after this right-hand turn marker, which is on the left. It's easier for me to say. And what we're looking for here is a nice brake in a straight line, again up to about 80%, down to 3rd gear, trailing it off down to the apex, big blip of throttle as you go into 2nd gear, getting on the gas nice and early. Car will kick out to the left-hand side, that's fine, up to 3rd, hug it round tight on the left-hand side, and over and across the line in a 144.145. I think that's within a couple of hundredths of what I did last season around here. So, yeah, pace is consistent. Right, let's go and do it from the chase cam. Okay, full speed run through from the chase cam. So up to 4th gear, looking for the Jordan bike sign. On the brake, trailing it off, down to 3rd gear, cut the corner. You can exit quite wide but stay something on the track or rumble strip. Up to 4th gear, just before the dip. And a brake in a straight line, trail it off, down to 3rd gear, get the slip angle right so that you can continue throttling all the way through the corner. This chase view does show you that a lot better. Up to 4th gear, looking for this little gravel road, big lift, back on the throttle again, getting the slip angle just nice. Looking for this dirt patch, and then we trail it off, down to 2nd, down to 1st, back on the gas, up to 2nd. This is where you're saying a little prayer ahead of the chicane. As we get to the elbow, braking a straight line, 2nd gear, get back on the throttle, cut the corner on the left-hand side, not the grass. Go for the 100-meter marker. Just after that, braking up to about 90%, down to 2nd gear, back on the throttle, again on the throttle. Big lift here as we go around Knickerbrook. Looking for the dip here just after the water tower. So get that on the brake very briefly, down to 3rd gear, powering it round the corner. And then just after that turn sign, and just before the marshal's post, final corner, down to 2nd gear, let it slide, try and not hit the grass, hug it round to the left-hand side, and over and across the line in a 1:44.145. Okay, final run through from the cockpit with the driving line on. Okay, for those of you that are still here, let's go through it again. Thanks again. I've been Sambo, iRacing, and I will see you guys in the week. Cheers.